It was a quiet Tuesday evening when I finally stepped through the front door, completely drained from the non-stop pressure of the day. The aroma of something freshly cooked still hung in the air, mingling softly with the low murmur of the TV in the background. I dropped my keys into the familiar bowl by the entrance and let out a deep, exhausted sigh, my body and mind both begging for rest. All I wanted was a calm night with Harper, my wife of nearly 12 years. Our evenings were usually predictable in the best way: dinner, real conversations, and sometimes unwinding together with a movie before bed. But tonight, the energy felt off. There was an unspoken tension, barely noticeable but impossible to ignore. Harper sat at the kitchen table, hands tightly woven together, a furrow etched deep into her brow. She glanced up when I entered, her expression unreadable. It wasn't like her to be this serious, especially at this time of day. "Hey," I greeted, trying to inject a bit of warmth into my voice, hoping to push away whatever heaviness had taken over the room. "Everything all right?" She didn't answer right away, just pointed to the chair across from her. "Sit," she said softly, but there was something in her voice that made my stomach clench. A weight. A warning. I obeyed, anxiety creeping in like a cold draft under the door. "I'm not sure how to begin," she said, eyes avoiding mine. "But I need to be honest with you. You know I love you, right?" "Of course," I replied, though my chest was tightening and my pulse had picked up speed. Her words were calm, but the undertone felt anything but safe. She took a long breath, steadying herself before continuing. "I've been thinking about this for quite some time now, and I've come to a conclusion. We need to talk about something different." Those last two words hit me like a chill. Something different. They bounced around my mind with an eerie ring. A sinking feeling took root inside me. I had heard enough horror stories from friends to know where conversations like this led. "I think I want to start seeing someone else," she said, voice composed, though she couldn't hold my gaze. "There's someone I've met, and I feel like I need to explore that." The world around me tilted. I stared at her, frozen. Her voice might as well have been thunder in my ears. "What did you just say?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "You want to see someone else?" "Yes," she replied, her face a mix of guilt and resolve. "I know this is a lot, but I had to be honest. I love you, I really do. But I need to do this for myself." It was as if her words physically struck me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. "You're seriously telling me you want to be with another man, and you expect me to accept that?" I asked, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "This isn't about us," she replied, shaking her head. "It's about me. I need this, and I need you to try and understand." My emotions churned violently, anger, heartbreak, disbelief all fighting for control. "You want me to just stand here while you start an affair?" I asked, barely able to process the insanity of it. "I'm not asking for your permission," she said firmly. "I just don't want to keep this a secret. If we're going to continue, I have to be open with you." "Continue," I repeated, stunned. "You think our marriage can survive this? You honestly think you can see someone else and it won't destroy everything between us?" "I've thought it through," she said with unsettling clarity. "I'm not leaving you. I'll always come home to you. But I need the freedom to explore this." She reached across the table, her fingers brushing my hand. "If you love me, you'll let me do this." I stood up abruptly, unable to sit still any longer. My entire world felt like it was shattering around me. I paced the room, my thoughts spiraling into chaos. 12 years. A lifetime of love, effort, memories, and now this. "This is insane," I said under my breath. "You say you love me, yet you're doing the one thing that could destroy us." "It's not easy for me either," she replied quietly.
but I need you to try and understand my side.
Her plea only made the pain worse.
And what if I can't?
I asked, voice low, cracking. What if I just can't accept this? A long silence followed. Finally, she responded, her voice soft and sorrowful. I don't know, but I hope you'll try. I needed space. I needed air. Anything to escape the spiral of emotions she had thrown me into. Without saying another word, I left the kitchen and collapsed onto the couch in the living room, my mind in a fog. How could this be happening? Harper, my Harper, was choosing another man and somehow thought she could keep me at the same time. It defied everything I believed about love, about us. The days that followed were a blur. I hardly slept, barely ate, and couldn't focus on anything. Her words echoed endlessly in my mind, stabbing deeper each time. Was this my fault? Had we drifted further apart than I realized? Sure, we had our struggles, but nothing that could explain this. By Friday, I hit my limit. I couldn't carry on pretending like everything was okay. I called in sick, knowing I wouldn't be able to get through a single meeting or task. I needed clarity, a plan, answers. I wasn't ready to let go, not yet. There was too much at stake, too many memories, too much history. I needed the truth. That afternoon, I sat at my desk, staring blankly at my laptop screen. Thoughts collided and tangled in my head, looping back on themselves until they were nothing but noise. But one decision rose above the mess. I needed facts. Harper had hinted that this man was a coworker, someone she'd recently gotten close to. She hadn't given a name, but that was enough to start with. I called Charles, an old friend from college who now worked as a private investigator. I need a favor, I told him, doing my best to sound calm. This is serious. I need to know who my wife is involved with, where they go, what they're doing.
Everything.
Charles didn't ask questions. His voice was all business. I've got it.
Give me a little time. I'll find what you need.
The next few days crawled by, each one heavier than the last. While Charles worked behind the scenes, I withdrew completely. I moved into the guest room and avoided Harper at every turn. She tried to speak with me, but I didn't have the strength to face her, not until I knew the full truth. By Monday, Charles had delivered. The man's name was Thomas, a new addition to her office staff. Charles had tracked them carefully, documenting late-night meetings in his car or discreet visits to his apartment. The evidence was undeniable. Harper had already stepped far beyond what she claimed she needed to explore. The shock of it knocked the wind from me. I didn't know what I would do with this information yet, but one thing was absolutely clear. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. By Thursday, I knew what had to be done. I had to see it for myself. I called out sick that morning, bracing myself for whatever truth the day might hold. As dawn crept in, I trailed Harper from a distance, watching her head into the office like it was any other day. She moved with ease, unaware of the storm her choices had unleashed, or that I was following close behind. Around 4 p.m., she emerged, her posture relaxed. And then I saw him. Thomas. He stood by the curb, casual, familiar, like this was routine. Without hesitation, they exchanged a quick kiss before slipping into his car. My chest clenched, but I stayed on their trail, every turn they took adding weight to the ache inside me. They eventually pulled into a quiet neighborhood, stopping in front of a modest two-story house. I parked a short distance away, just in time to watch Thomas open the car door for her. Harper laughed, stepped out, and disappeared inside with him, like they belonged there together. Sitting alone in my car, fury and devastation wrestled inside me. This wasn't an impulsive fling. This was planned, repeated, real. And I couldn't ignore it anymore. The next day, I avoided her completely. Every word she might say now felt like poison. I kept myself buried in work, doing anything to distract from the wreckage in my heart. That morning, I reached out to Charles again. He had more news. Harper and Thomas had been seeing each other for weeks. And now they were planning a weekend trip, just the two of them. The audacity of it felt like a fresh wound. By Friday, I couldn't take it anymore. The weight of it all pushed me through the doors of a law office. My palms were sweating as I sat down, heart pounding with equal parts rage and heartbreak. I want to file for divorce, I said, each word heavy but clear. Adultery. What are my options? The lawyer gave a small nod, already scribbling notes. We can proceed. Do you have any proof? I paused. The idea of being accused of invading her privacy was nauseating, but the truth was undeniable. She made her choices. And I had the receipts. Literally. I handed over the evidence, photos, messages, details of the places they had been and where they were going. The lawyer studied them, then leaned back in his chair. This is solid, he said. If you're sure, we can start immediately. I'm sure, I replied. She needs to understand what she's done. There have to be consequences. And just like that, the wheels were in motion. Not out of revenge, but survival. That Saturday, as Harper packed for her romantic escape, I stayed away. I didn't trust myself to look at her without shattering. By noon, I found myself parked outside the house. I wasn't sure why, I just needed to see her leave. Maybe to burn the last shred of denial from my system. She stepped outside, rolling her suitcase, smiling as if nothing was amiss. Thomas pulled up, and she hopped into his car with a kiss that made me feel physically ill. I waited until they drove off, then followed, my jaw tight with resolve. I arrived at the Hilton shortly after. I knew everything, when they'd check in, what room they'd be in. Not by chance, but by careful planning. I didn't confront her. That wasn't the point anymore. I checked into the room next to theirs and quietly set up the surveillance gear I had prepared. Audio. Video. I was done being in the dark. Through the peephole, I watched them arrive and vanish into their room. Then came the long, excruciating hours. Laughter. Kisses. Touch. I watched it all unfold on screen, numb and hollow. There was no satisfaction in it, only the crushing weight of reality. At one point, Thomas left briefly, and Harper stood at the door in a robe, hair tousled from their time together. She smiled, so effortlessly, so intimately, and when he returned, they curled into each other like nothing outside that room mattered. I watched them make love. Every second carved a deeper wound inside me. When they finally fell asleep in each other's arms, I packed up the gear and left. That night, I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was too hollow to feel anything but the steady thrum of betrayal. Harper returned Sunday afternoon. She walked in as if everything was normal, suitcase in hand and a fake cheer in her voice. Hey, you look like you had a relaxing weekend. I didn't respond. I stood, facing her directly. My voice was flat, cold. Sit down, Harper. We need to talk. She hesitated, caught off guard by my tone, then slowly sat. What's going on? You've been so distant lately. I know, I said evenly. I know about Thomas, about the weekend, about everything. Her face paled instantly. What do you mean? How? I saw you, I said. I know where you went. I know who you were with. I know exactly what you did. Her mouth opened, but no words came. You've been spying on me, she finally whispered. I've been gathering the truth, I corrected. You betrayed me, Harper. Did you think I wouldn't find out? I laid the printed photos, screenshots, and audio recordings onto the table. She stared at them in silence, the color draining from her face. You've destroyed everything, I said, my voice shaking but firm. And I'm done. For the first time, I saw genuine remorse in her eyes, but it was far too late. "Pack your things," I said. "We're finished." She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply stood, quietly turning to go. The damage was already done, and nothing she could say would ever make it right. Pushpin if this story gripped you, hit the like button, subscribe for more powerful narratives, and tap the bell icon to never miss an update.